Where the hell is Brian Griffin? Sorry, Quagmire, I didn't catch that. Could you speak up? No, I can't, because if I raise my voice, I get freaking electrocuted. I have never been so furious. Take this off right now. No way. This is payback, you dick. I swear to God, I will choke you out with your own tail.
Yeah, I'd like to see you try, you sad, lonely douche.
Hey there, folks. It's your boy, Peter Griffin. Yep, that guy from the TV with the chin that looks like a butt, and welcome to the most ridiculous, nonsensical, totally unqualified storytelling show you never knew you needed. Now listen, I don't know whose channel this is or how you got here, but you're here now, and we're both stuck, so might as well enjoy it, right? Over the next few hours, I'm gonna tell you stories. True stories. Okay? Mostly true. Somewhat true. Okay? Fine. They're barely true. But they're funny. And that's what matters. So grab some snacks, put on some stretchy pants, and turn off your brain, 'cause this is gonna be a ride. This is Peter Griffin's Fact Frenzy, or Story Spasm, or Podcast with No Name. Whatever. We'll figure that out later. Let's go. Story 1. That time I got stuck in a bounce house. Alright, gather round, folks. You're not gonna believe this one. I mean, this is one of those stories that makes you question how I'm still alive or how I'm still allowed in public spaces. So Lois makes me go to this funeral. For her second cousin's dog walker's uncle, or some kind of connection so distant, even Facebook gave up trying to recommend them. Anyway, the guy was apparently a big family man, so they decided to have the funeral in a park, with a bounce house, for the kids. Now listen, if you don't want a grown man jumping in the inflatable castle of dreams, maybe don't put it next to the potato salad. So we're at this funeral, right? Sad music, people crying, and there's me, eyeballing that bounce house like it owes me money. Stewie's like, jump in. Fat man, I dare you. So I'm like, challenge accepted. Evil fetus. I take off my shoes like a gentleman, yeah, no, out of respect, and I dive into that bounce house like it's the mosh pit at a Meatloaf concert. And for 2 glorious minutes, I'm flying. I'm airborne. I'm doing somersaults. I'm the Cirque du freaking Soleil of suburbia. Then it happens. One poorly timed backflip and I land, right on top of a bunch of screaming toddlers. One kid screamed so loud I'm pretty sure I unlocked a portal to another dimension. Another kid just froze, like a chicken nugget midair. I try to get up but my foot gets caught in the mesh wall. Now I'm flopping around like a walrus in a laundry hamper. Brian walks by and just sips his wine cooler like, not again. The real kicker? The entire funeral procession comes over to see what the noise is. There's the priest. There's the widow. There's even the guy in the coffin. Wait, no, he stayed dead. But emotionally, everyone else died a little inside. Lois is mortified. Meg pretends she doesn't know me. Chris takes a selfie. And Stewie, he's filming the whole thing like it's a nature documentary. Observe the wild Peter caught in his natural habitat. Chaos. Eventually they deflate the bounce house while I'm still inside. Which, let me tell you, feels a lot like being buried alive in a giant rubber taco. Took 3 men in a forklift to roll me out. So yeah, bounce houses, great for birthdays. Less great for funerals. But hey, I left that place with a bruised rib, half a cookie, and a memory no one will ever forget. Story 2. That time I tried to become a professional gamer. Okay, so let me tell you about the time I thought I was gonna be the next big esports champion. Spoiler alert, I was not. So I'm sitting on the couch one day, right? Just minding my business, yelling at the toaster 'cause it burnt my bagel. And I see this commercial, join the gaming revolution. Win money playing video games. And I'm like, Lois, cancel my dentist appointment. I've found my calling. I mean, come on, how hard could it be? I've played Mario Kart. I've yelled at a 12-year-old on Call of Duty. That basically makes me a pro. So I go all in. I buy a headset with one of those bendy microphones, gamer chair that looks like a race car seat, and a mouse with so many buttons it looks like Meg's acne medication. I even bought gamer snacks, which is just Doritos, but I ate 'em aggressively. First game I play, Fortnite. Yeah, I drop in, don't even know what's happening. I'm running around whacking trees with a pickaxe, thinking I'm building a new deck or something. Some 8-year-old named XX No Scope Grandma 69X snipes me from across the map and says I'm trash. Lois walks in, and I'm yelling at the screen like, how do I craft a gun? She's like, Peter, why are you sweating on the carpet? I didn't even realize. I was so locked in, my socks melted. Then I try League of Legends, which is just grown men yelling at each other over cartoon characters with swords. I clicked one thing and got banned for feeding. I thought that meant I gave someone a sandwich. Apparently not. Then I decide to stream my gameplay live. I'm like, people are gonna love this. I'm funny. I'm charismatic. I got a voice like a clogged vacuum cleaner. What's not to love? So I go live on Twitch. Got the webcam on. Lights set up. Stewie's in the background making fun of me in French. And within 6 minutes I get banned. Why? 'Cause I accidentally knocked over my green screen and flashed my belly button at the camera. Apparently that's a TOS violation. Twitch really hates navels. My viewer count peaked at 4. One was Brian. One was Chris. One was a Russian bot selling crypto. And the fourth was me, on my phone, checking if I was still live. So yeah, turns out I'm not gonna be the next big gamer. I rage quit, broke the headset, and now use the gamer chair as my new snack throne. It holds like 4 bags of chips under the seat. Pretty sweet. So if you're thinking of becoming a professional gamer, just remember, if I can't do it, you probably can. But also maybe don't. Or at least wear a shirt. Story 3. That time I tried to fix the toilet. Okay, so Lois says to me one morning, Peter, the toilet's been acting weird, can you please fix it? And I'm like, Lois, I am a grown man, a homeowner, a problem solver. I once fixed a squeaky floorboard with a grilled cheese sandwich. I got this. So I grab my trusty toolbox, which is really just a lunchbox with duct tape, a hammer, and some leftover spaghetti, and I march into the bathroom like Bob the Builder's drunk cousin. Now I don't know exactly how toilets work, but I figure water goes down, magic happens, everything disappears. Simple, but I open the tank and see all these doodads, chains and floaty balls, and what I assume is a baby octopus, but turns out it's just mold. I wiggle one thing, twist another, and suddenly, boo-whoosh, water shoots out like the Bellagio fountain. I'm soaked. The cat is soaked. Meg walks by and just turns around without saying a word. Good call. So naturally, I panic. I grab towels, blankets, Stewie's baby onesies, anything absorbent. I even tried stuffing in Brian. He was not amused. He just kept yelling, "This is why I drink." Then I get the genius idea to turn off the water main, except I don't know where that is. So I just start turning off everything. Microwave? Off. Blender? Off. Chris's Xbox mid-game? Definitely off. He cried. I felt nothing. Still no luck. Water keeps rising like it's trying to baptize the house. I call Joe for help. He rolls in, looks around and says, Peter, this is why you're not allowed to own tools. So we try one of those snakes, you know, the long bendy things plumbers use. I think I used it backwards, 'cause it came out the other toilet, in Cleveland's house. Yeah, he was not happy. He called it the Great Porcelain Invasion. Eventually Lois just calls a real plumber. Guy shows up, takes one look, and says, you flooded your entire street, knocked out a neighbor's koi pond, and somehow reversed the hot and cold pipes so now your shower screams when you turn it on. Total repair cost, $2,000. My dignity? Gone. Forever. So now I'm not allowed to fix anything. I lost toilet privileges. I have to ask Lois for a bathroom hall pass like I'm in 2nd grade. Story 4. That time I tried stand-up comedy. Alright, buckle up, 'cause this one's got laughs, tears, and a public bread-related assault. So one day I'm watching TV. There's this show called Open Mic Night Failures or something, and it hits me. Peter, you're funny. You've been embarrassing yourself in public for years. Why not get paid for it? So I tell Lois, babe, I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian. She says, Peter, you can't even stand up after 2 sandwiches. I'm like, that's part of my act, Lois. It's called physical comedy. Next night, I head to this little comedy club downtown. Name of the place, the Chuckle Bucket, which by the way is also what I call my nacho bowl. I sign up for the open mic. The guy before me, some vegan magician with puppets. Tough act to follow, unless you're me, which I am. So boom, confidence. I walk on stage, grab the mic, and hit him with my opener. Hey everybody, I'm Peter Griffin. I wanted to lose weight, so I started jogging. My memory hasn't worked. Still, fat. Silence. I hear a cough. Someone drops a fork. I think a baby in the crowd aged 5 years out of pure awkwardness. So I keep going. I told my doctor I walk 10,000 steps a day. He said, wow. I said, yeah, in asterisk video games. A guy in the front row sighs so loud it echoed off the back wall like a haunted moan. Then it happens. Some lady yells, you stink, and throws, I swear to God, a breadstick. A full, untouched Olive Garden breadstick. Right at my face. It hits me in the eye. I yell out, ow, my carb socket. Then, in true Peter fashion, I eat the breadstick. Crowd actually claps for that part. I'm like, wait, you people want to see me in pain? What am I, a comedy piñata? So I change gears. I start telling stories about Meg. Big laughs. Apparently the world agrees Meg is comedy gold. I finish my set by accidentally tripping over a stool, falling off the stage, and knocking over 3 tables. I call it performance art. The owner calls it structural damage. But hey, I got one compliment. This drunk guy came up and said, "You're not the worst I've seen." One guy pooped himself once. So, yeah, no, progress. Story 5. That time I tried to become a motivational speaker. Alright. So this one's about how I accidentally became a role model to children for like 6 minutes. So Lois says to me one day, "Peter, you need to give back to the community." And I'm like, "Lois, I give back all the time." I returned that half-eaten hot dog to the gas station and didn't even yell. But then I hear that the local middle school is doing a career inspiration day and they need volunteers to talk to the kids. And I'm like, oh baby, it's my time to shine. These kids are gonna love me. I show up in my best suit, which is just a Hawaiian shirt tucked into cargo shorts, and I bring a PowerPoint presentation called Peter Griffin, How to Succeed by Failing Upwards. I get to the classroom, bunch of 12-year-olds staring at me like I'm a raccoon that wandered in off the street. Which, honestly, fair. I start with my introduction. Hi kids, I'm Peter. I've had many careers. Pirate, professional wrestler, fast food mascot, briefly a horse. But through it all, one thing's remained the same. I'm still here and nobody's stopped me yet. A teacher in the back starts sweating. I go into my life lessons segment. I tell him always follow your dreams, even if your dream is just eating pancakes in a kayak. If opportunity knocks and you're not home, leave a note that says try next door. Confidence is key, and also fake ID helps. Then I try to inspire them with one of my signature motivational quotes. If life gives you lemons, squeeze them into a water balloon and throw it at your problems. Boom. Lemon justice. At this point, the kids are loving it. They're laughing, taking notes. One kid asks if I'm famous on TikTok. I tell him, "Kid, I am TikTok. I just don't move very fast." Then I open the floor for questions. Big mistake. One girl asks, "Have you ever gone to jail?" And I'm like, define jail. Are we talking actual cell or locked inside a Chuck E. Cheese overnight situation? That's when the principal walks in, hears me talking about stealing a golf cart during a wedding buffet, and just freezes, like a glitchy NPC. Next thing I know, I'm being escorted out with a juice box in one hand and a permission slip banning me from all school property. So yeah, I tried to inspire the youth. Instead, I may have jump-started 3 future class clowns and possibly a juvenile arsonist named Trent. Story 6. That time I got stuck in a vending machine. Alright, gather round, 'cause this one's got drama, danger, and a suspiciously stale bag of pretzels. So I'm at the DMV, right? I've been waiting for like 4 hours. The number machine is stuck on bit 12 and I'm holding a ticket that says Hate 97, which I think means they just skipped me alphabetically and spiritually. Anyway, I spot this vending machine in the corner. Beautiful, shiny, glowing like it holds the secrets of the universe, or at least some cheese curls. So I waddle over. I put in my $2, type in the number B4, 'cause ya know snacks before responsibility. What drops down? Raisins. Raisins. I didn't pay $2 to be punished with old people fruit. So I try again. This time I go for E6, a nice pack of nacho chips. The machine rattles. The chips get stuck, just dangling there taunting me. Now at this point, a normal person would walk away. But I'm Peter freaking Griffin. I do not negotiate with snack terrorists. So I start rocking the machine. Little shake here. Little nudge there. Nothing. Then I do what any rational man would do. I climb it. Yep, one foot on the coin return slot, the other on the frame, and before you know it, bam, I'm inside the machine. Not like in the snack chamber, but wedged halfway through the flap like a meat-filled piñata trying to break into itself. People are watching. Phones are out. One guy starts live streaming it like I'm a confused raccoon stuck in a recycling bin. Kid yells, "Dio, a flip." I yell, "Dio, your homework." Meanwhile, I'm trying to reach this little bag of Doritos that's Jewist out of reach when my shirt gets caught on a coil spring. Now I'm stuck, upside down, inside a vending machine, screaming like I saw Meg without makeup. Eventually, the fire department shows up. They're like, "Sir, how did this happen?" And I'm like, "I risked it all for artificial cheese dust." They free me. The chips, still stuck. The raisins, somehow now inside my sock. And worst of all, they banned me from the DMV. Again, for the 3rd time. First was the Segway incident. Don't ask. Story 7. That time I tried to be an Uber driver. Okay. So get this. One day I'm sitting around watching TV, and this commercial comes on, make money on your schedule, become a driver today. And I'm like, Peter Griffin, rideshare mogul, here we go. I tell Lois I'm gonna start a new career. She's like, Peter, you once got lost in a Wendy's parking lot for 2 hours. And I'm like, exactly. I know every inch of that parking lot now. I'm basically a cartographer. So I sign up for Uber. And by sign up, I mean I borrow Joe's phone, take a selfie, and list my profession as transport ninja. Pretty sure that's illegal. But hey, if Uber didn't want ninjas, they shouldn't have approved it in 12 seconds. Next day I'm ready to roll. Got snacks in the glove box. Car Febrezed into oblivion. I'm even wearing sunglasses at night, because I thought it'd make me look more drivery. Instead I hit 3 trash cans. Anyway, my first ride request comes in. Guy named Dan. I pull up, roll down the window and yell, Dan, you look like a man who likes jazz and regrets. He cancels the ride. Strike 1. Second request. College kid wants a ride to class. I try to impress him with small talk. I'm like, hey, you ever think about how your belly button's just your old mouth? He gets out at a red light. Strike 2. Third ride. It's a pickup outside a farm. Weird, but hey, Peter, don't judge. I pull up and this guy walks out holding a goat. Like a goat. Real horns, beard, smell and everything. He says, it's emotional support. I say, so is lasagna, but I don't take it to Applebee's. He throws the goat in the back seat. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Uber pet, right? Except the goat immediately starts eating my seatbelt and screaming. Like, goat screaming. Which, by the way, sounds like a grown man falling downstairs. I'm swerving. The GPS is rerouting. The goat's trying to climb into the front. And Stewie calls me mid-ride just to tell me I'm statistically the worst person to operate a moving vehicle. Thanks, buddy. We finally get to the destination, a flea market, obviously. And the guy tips me $3 and a coupon for half-off goat cheese. Unbelievable. At that point I decide, Peter Griffin's Uber empire is officially bankrupt. I uninstall the app, return Joe's phone, and go back to the only transportation gig I'm good at, chasing the ice cream truck with no shoes on. Story 8. That time I tried online dating. Alright, listen up. So Lois says to me, Peter, you need to get out there and meet people. And I'm like, Lois, I do meet people. I meet the pizza delivery guy at least twice a week. But she's serious. So I download one of those fancy dating apps. You know, the ones where people judge you based on pictures of your face and your ability to write clever things like I like long walks, to the fridge. So I set up my profile. I put down lover of Pawtucket Patriot Ale, self-proclaimed chicken dance champion, and expert napper. I upload my best pic, which is just me with my chin resting on a beer mug, and then the matches start rolling in. Or so I thought. Turns out, the only person who swiped right was my dentist. Yes, my dentist. She messages me, all polite and professional. Hey Peter, didn't expect to see you here. I'm like, yeah doc, just looking for someone who appreciates a good floss joke. So we decide to meet for coffee. I show up in my usual shorts and novelty socks. She looks all fancy in her dentist scrubs, because apparently dentists have casual wear. Who knew? Conversation starts off great until I mention how much I love sugary cereal. She gasps and says, Peter, do you know how bad that is for your teeth? I say, Doc, I thought you liked me. Then she asks if I'm flossing regularly. I say, only when Lois is watching. Next thing I know, she's lecturing me on plaque cavities and how my breath smells like a tax audit. Long story short, I got a free cleaning out of it, but no second date. And the worst part? I think I'm on her do not treat list now. So remember folks, if your dentist shows up on a dating app, maybe just stick to the cleaning. Story 9. That time I tried cooking dinner. Alright, so Lois goes out for the night. She's got a book club or a yoga thing or whatever, and she tells me, Peter, you're in charge of dinner. Just don't burn the house down. Easy, right? Wrong. So I decide I'm gonna make spaghetti. Classic, simple, foolproof. Or so I thought. I get out the pot, fill it with water, and crank the stove. Now, here's where it all goes downhill. I get distracted watching some football highlights, cheering at a really questionable touchdown, and I forget the pot. Water boils away, pot starts smoking, and I realize I've basically created a sauna in my kitchen. The smoke alarm's going nuts, Brian's coughing and Meg's texting me, are you okay? Your house smells like burnt regret. So I open the windows, fan the smoke away, and try to salvage dinner. I throw in the pasta and sauce, but I'm impatient. So I crank up the heat to volcano, and the sauce splatters everywhere. On the stove, on the walls, even on Stewie's evil robot arm. He's not pleased. Then I remember, I don't have any garlic bread, so I try to make some from scratch. I spread butter and garlic powder on a loaf of bread and put it in the oven. 5 minutes later, smoke again. This time the bread's blacker than Quagmire's dating history. Lois comes home to a kitchen that looks like a war zone, and me sitting at the table eating cold sauce straight from the jar. She just shakes her head and orders pizza. So yeah, kids, cooking is easy, if you don't mind setting off every smoke detector within a 5-mile radius. Story 10. That time I tried to be a substitute teacher. Alright, listen up. So one day Lois tells me the elementary school is looking for substitute teachers, and I'm like, hey, I'm great with kids. I once babysat Stewie for 3 whole minutes without a single emergency. So I sign up thinking this'll be a breeze. I show up in what I think is teacher attire, a button-up shirt, cargo shorts, and sneakers. Very professional. First class I walk in and the kids are staring at me like I just told them Santa's a fraud. I start off by introducing myself, and one kid raises his hand and says, "Are you the guy from that weird TV show with the talking dog?" Before I can answer, the fire alarm goes off. No clue why. Everyone evacuates except me. I'm still trying to figure out how to use the projector. Later I try to teach math. I ask the class, what's 2 plus 2? A kid says 5, and I say, no, it's fish. They all laugh. I think I nailed it. Then comes recess. I'm supposed to supervise. I let the kids play, but one kid decides to throw a football through the principal's office window. I pretend I didn't see it. By lunchtime I'm exhausted. The cafeteria lady gives me a tray of mystery meatloaf. I take one bite and it tastes like regret and sadness. Finally the principal calls me in. She says, "Peter, we appreciate the enthusiasm, but maybe substitute teaching isn't your calling." I tell her, "But I made the kids laugh." She says, "Yes, at your expense." So I'm escorted out with a pink slip and a promise to never return. Moral of the story? If you want to be a substitute teacher, maybe know what you're doing, or just don't be me. Story 11. That time I tried to go vegan. Okay, so here's the deal. Lois tells me, "Peter, you gotta eat healthier. Try going vegan for a week." And I'm like, "Lois, the only thing vegan about me is my tendency to avoid vegetables, but I'm feeling motivated." So I dive in head first. First meal, salad. I stare at it like it's a crime scene. No cheese, no bacon bits, just sad lettuce, and some cherry tomatoes pretending to be food. By lunchtime I'm dreaming about steak, like vivid dreams. Steaks wearing tuxedos, telling me to come back. So I try cooking a vegan dinner. I buy tofu, kale, and some weird nut thing called cashews. I open the tofu package, and it smells like a wet sponge. Great. I try to fry the tofu, but it sticks to the pan like it's trying to escape. I toss it around with the spatula and end up launching a chunk across the kitchen. It hits Brian right in the face. He's not amused. I tell him it's a new form of vegan attack. Then comes dessert, vegan ice cream. I take a bite and realize it tastes like frozen sadness. I'm tempted to dump it in the trash, but Stewie beats me to it. By 8 p.m., I'm raiding the fridge for anything that used to be alive and delicious. I find a leftover cheeseburger from last week, frozen solid, and I eat it like it's the last hope for mankind. Lois walks in, shakes her head, and says, "Peter, you lasted about as long as Meg's popularity in high school. So yeah, veganism? Not for me. But hey, I'm now an expert on salad dressing brands." Story 12. That time I tried to learn to dance. Alright, so Lois says, "Peter, why don't you try taking some dance lessons? It'll be good for you." And I'm like, "Lois, the only dancing I do is the chicken dance, and that's on special occasions. But I'm feeling motivated. So I sign up for a dance class. The instructor's this tiny lady who looks like she's made of sugar and sass. First day she starts with something called the electric slide. Sounds easy, right? I try it. I slide left, then right. Then I'm on the floor trying to figure out if I just invented a new move called the flailing octopus. Next up is salsa. I'm supposed to move my hips like I'm shaking a margarita. Instead I knock over a speaker, step on a lady's foot, and somehow hit myself in the face with my own elbow. It was a triple threat. By the end of class I'm sweating like a snowman in hell, and I'm pretty sure my hip is broken. I try to hide it, but Lois takes one look and says, "Peter, that's not a dance injury. That's a medical emergency." I spend the next week hobbling around on crutches, telling everyone I'm just rehearsing for my role as Quasimodo in the school play. So yeah, dancing isn't for everyone, especially if your coordination peaked in middle school gym class. Story 13, that time I tried to start a band. Alright, listen to this one. So I decide, hey, I'm gonna start a band. Why not? I got a great voice if you like the sound of a dying walrus, and I play the triangle. Very versatile instrument, by the way. So I recruit some guys, Cleveland on drums, Quagmire on guitar, and Joe on bass. Sounds like a solid lineup, right? Well, that's what I thought. Our first rehearsal was at my house. We try to play a song, but Cleveland keeps missing the beat. Quagmire is too busy hitting on the neighbor's dog, and Joe's bass keeps falling apart. Me? I'm just trying not to break the triangle. We decide to pick a band name. I suggest the Quassa Crushers. Cleveland says, not too violent. Quagmire suggests Giggity Grooves. Joe suggests the Wheelchairs. I'm just confused. The neighbor complains about the noise after 5 minutes. So we decide to play softer, which meant basically no music at all. After 10 minutes, Quagmire leaves to meet a hot date. Joe gets a call from his job, and Cleveland says he has to walk his emotional support squirrel. Yep, squirrel. So it's just me and the triangle. I keep playing, but I think even the triangle gave up on me. Long story short, the band broke up before it started. But I did get a sweet World's Okayest band leader mug. So that's something. Story 14, that time I tried to be a food critic. Alright, so Lois says, Peter, you should write reviews for that food blog. You love eating, and you're always full of opinions. I'm like, Lois, opinions are my specialty. Plus I have a PhD in inhaling snacks. So I start my careers as a food critic. First stop, Fancy Joe's Bistro. I walk in wearing my best sweatpants and a shirt that says I'm here for the food. The waiter asks if I want a wine pairing. I say, sure, surprise me. Then I realize I'm probably gonna get a fancy glass of grape juice or something. Nope, he brings a tiny cup and tells me to sip it slowly. I sip it, make a face like I just ate a lemon, and nearly choke. Then the food arrives. I try a bite of the fancy steak. I'm chewing, trying to be polite, but it tastes like a tire rubbed in garlic. So I say, well, it's definitely interesting. Write my review. Steak was tough, but the breadsticks were heavenly. Would recommend for carb lovers. Next restaurant, vegan vibes. I order a salad. It looks like a lawn. I try to be enthusiastic, but it tastes like rabbit food. I say, this is the kind of meal you eat when you want your taste buds to take a nap. By the third restaurant, the managers are giving me the stink eye. At one place, they catch me sneaking fries under the table, and I get asked to leave. At another, I'm banned for excessive burping. By the end of the week, I'm kicked out of so many places. Even the drive-thru says, no Griffin-sized orders. So yeah, food critic? Maybe not my calling, but I did get a lifetime supply of napkins. So, win? Story 15. That time I tried to build a treehouse. Okay, so one day I decide, Peter, you gotta build something cool for the kids. So I pick a treehouse. Simple, right? I grab some wood, nails, and a hammer, though I have no clue how to use any of those things properly. I watch a YouTube tutorial once, so I'm basically a pro. I start building. I'm measuring, sawing, hammering, but mostly just banging my thumb. Lois comes out, looks horrified, and says, Peter, you don't even know what you're doing. But I'm determined. I tell her, Lois, this is gonna be the best dang treehouse in Quahog. Hours later, the treehouse looks like a pile of sticks held together by hope and duct tape. I climb in to show the kids, but halfway up, the whole thing creaks ominously. And then crash. Down it comes, right on top of Quagmire, who was passing by asking if I wanted to go out for some giggity fun. He's buried under wood and nails, muttering, Peter, you idiot. Lois is furious. I'm trying to help Quagmire out, but I end up stepping on a nail. So now I'm limping. Long story short, no treehouse. Quagmire's mad, and I'm banned from any future DIY projects. Which is fine by me. I'm better at destroying things than building them. Story 16. That time I tried to learn French. Alright, so Lois says, Peter, you should learn a new language. It'll be good for your brain. And I'm like, Lois, the only language I need is fluent food ordering. But I'm feeling ambitious, so I sign up for a French class. First day the teacher is all fancy, saying things like bonjours and voulez-vous coucher avec moi. I nod like I know what's going on, but really, I'm just thinking about croissants. After a few weeks, I think I've got it down. So I decide to surprise Lois with a fancy French dinner. I go to a cafe, order in what I think is perfect French, but turns out I accidentally asked if the waiter wants to sleep with me instead of ordering the duck. The whole cafe goes silent. The waiter blinks, and some old ladies clutch their pearls. I'm standing there like, I meant the duck. The duck. Then I try to recover with a joke. I say, I'm just practicing my fluent confusion. Quote, quote. No one laughs. Lois hears about it and says, Peter, maybe stick to English. I say, but I learned bonjour. So yeah, French class, not for me, but I'm pretty sure I'm banned from that cafe for life. Story 17. That time I tried to fix the internet. Alright, so this one's a doozy. Lois says, Peter, the Wi-Fi's been slow all day. Can you fix it? And I'm like, Lois, I'm the king of technology. I once reset the TV by unplugging it and plugging it back in. I got this. So I head to the router, this little box that looks like a spaceship, and I start poking buttons. I press the reset button, then the WPS button, then something that looks like a red nuclear launch button. Suddenly, the internet goes out, not just for me, but for the entire neighborhood. Phones stop working, Netflix crashes, and someone's robot vacuum gets stuck in a tree. Chaos everywhere. I'm frantically trying to fix it, but I don't know what I'm doing. I call Joe for help. He rolls up with his badge and a laptop and says, Peter, what did you do? I say, I was just trying to make it faster. He sighs and spends an hour fixing my mess. Meanwhile, Stewie's live streaming his latest evil plan, and it gets cut off mid-plot. He's furious. The internet finally comes back, but the damage is done. The whole neighborhood has a no Griffin internet policy now. I'm banned from the router and the Wi-Fi password is changed daily without me. So remember, kids' technology is fun, but only if you don't touch it. Story 18. That time I tried to babysit Stewie. Alright, listen up. So Lois goes out for the evening and leaves me in charge of Stewie. How hard can it be? I've babysat before, mostly by accident, but still. First I try to feed him. He looks at me like I'm serving up sewage, so I improvise with a chicken nugget. He grabs it, inspects it like a tiny food critic, and then throws it across the room. Misses the wall by this much. Then I try to entertain him with my dance moves. Let me tell you, nothing calms a baby like watching your dad flail around like a fish out of water. Stewie looks terrified, probably plotting my demise. Next I decide to read him a bedtime story, but instead of a nice tale I accidentally read from my old high school diary. Turns out it's just a bunch of embarrassing confessions about my crush on the cafeteria lady. Stewie's eyes get wide, either in horror or admiration, I can't tell. Finally I try to put him to bed but he won't settle down. So I pull out the big guns, a lullaby. Only problem is I don't know any lullabies. So I sing Eye of the Tiger loud and off key. Stewie starts screaming like I just set his teddy bear on fire. At that point Lois walks in, sees the chaos and takes over. I'm banned from babysitting ever again. So yeah, babysitting Stewie, more dangerous than fighting the chicken. And that's saying something. Story 19. That time I tried to join a gym. Alright, so Lois tells me I need to get in shape. She says, Peter, why don't you join a gym? And I'm like, great idea. How hard can it be? So I sign up and show up on day one looking sharp in my neon workout gear that I definitely didn't steal from the 80s. I walk in and there's all these machines that look like medieval torture devices. I try the treadmill, but I can't figure out how to turn it on. So I just stand there awkwardly, sweating. Then I see the pool. Looks nice. I think, Peter, this is your moment. I jump in, and immediately regret it because I forgot to check the depth. Next thing I know, I belly flop so hard it sounds like a gunshot. Water's everywhere. Some lady screams. Kids start laughing. The lifeguard shakes his head like I'm the village idiot. But I'm determined. I decide to try some swimming laps. On lap 3, I get a cramp and start flailing like a man fighting an invisible octopus. A kid videotapes it and posts it online. I'm famous now for all the wrong reasons. Lois comes to pick me up, looks at the chaos, and says, Peter, maybe the gym isn't for you. I say, I'm just getting started. 2 days later I'm banned for excessive splashing and general public nuisance. So yeah, gyms are tough. Especially if you're me. Story 20. That time I tried to train our dog. Okay, so Lois says, Peter, we gotta train Brian better. He's slobbering on everything, and chewing my shoes. And I'm like, Lois, I'm a natural dog trainer. I once trained a squirrel to do my laundry. Well, kind of. So I grab a clicker thingy and some treats. I watch one YouTube video called How to Train Your Dog in 5 Easy Steps. The first step? Be patient. Yeah, right. I start with sit. I say, Brian, sit. He looks at me like I just asked him to do my taxes. Then he just rolls over and takes a nap. I try stay. Brian gets up and runs to the kitchen for a snack. Then I try fetch. I throw a ball and Brian just stares at me. Then runs outside and chases a squirrel. After an hour of this, Brian's trained me more than I trained him. He taught me how to nap on the couch, eat snacks without Lois noticing, and ignore commands completely. Lois walks in, sees the mess and says, Peter, maybe we should hire a professional. I say, or maybe Brian just likes to keep me humble. So yeah, training dogs is harder than it looks, especially when the dog's smarter than you. So that was for this video. Do like and subscribe.